Now, we just heard a briefing from Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu marking World Water Day. Water expert Professor Anthony Turton was listening in on the briefing. He joins us live now from Bloemfontein to weigh in. Professor, thank you so much for your time. One of the most salient points in what the minister had to say was that by 2025 there'll be insufficient water supply in this region to meet our needs. That's a scary prospect. Is there anything he said in that speech to allay any fears you might have about whether we're ready for 2025?
That number for 2025 has been known since 2000, so there's really nothing new in that revelation. But what I will say is that the minister has apparently come into office with a mandate to turn the ship around. And I've seen this tangible evidence of this because through the SA Business Water Chamber, we've been engaging with the ministry and with the presidency, and they are very, very open and responsive to what we are talking about. And just last week, I was on a media platform, and in fact, I think it was ENCA, when I mentioned something about Bloem Water. And the next day, I was contacted by the CEO of Bloem Water on the instruction of the minister to reach out to me to find out what the issues are with a view to resolving them. So what I can say is that at face value, the new minister, Mchunu, seems to really have gone out of his way to try and at least listen and understand what the issues are and to accommodate and embrace the technical expertise that still exists in the country. This is very refreshing, and I think we ought to encourage this because it's it's good and healthy behavior.
The theme this year for World Water Day is groundwater making the invisible visible. And the minister spoke about groundwater as being a strategic resource. Are we managing it correctly? Are we using that resource well? Is there a plan to make sure we use it well?
Yes, groundwater in the water resource professional sphere is known as the Cinderella resource. It always comes up every single year as this magic resource that is everywhere and very easy to get access to. While this is true at one level, at another level, it's very complex to actually operationalize it, because you must appreciate that a typical borehole has got a relatively low yield. So you have to drill hundreds, if not thousands, of boreholes across the country to try and give you the kind of yield that you require to be sustainable. So I'm not quite as optimistic about the groundwater as being this magical solution, silver bullet solution that it's touted to be. But however, having said that, it is a very, very important resource. And it's a very important resource in the context of what is known as conjunctive water use, where you find in places like Australia, places like Texas and California, they are actually recharging groundwater aquifers with water that they recover from waste. And this is, in fact, has been ongoing in South Africa in the Atlantis aquifer for at least 2 decades that I'm aware of. The CSIR has been doing extensive research. When I was still at the CSIR in 2008, that research was already mature. So this is not a new thing for us. I think maybe it's just a new thing for the general public. But the Cinderella resource is important, but it's a very difficult resource to actually turn into a viable long-term option.
One issue threatening our water supply, of course, is water pollution, and the minister spoke about that. He says that they're going to up the ante when it comes to ensuring compliance. You spoke about seeing tangible evidence of him pushing or steering the ship in the right direction. When it comes to curbing water pollution, are you seeing evidence that they are upping the ante?
Yes, I'm aware of the fact, for example, that Mfuleni is probably the epicenter of this whole problem. You must appreciate that Mfuleni is the center of the industrial heartland of the country. It's the source of the major water supply for Gauteng, and therefore it's an extremely important issue there for the Gauteng economy. And I'm aware of the fact that there's multiple sewage pipes that have burst there, multiple pump stations that are overflowing. And I'm also aware of the fact that there are concerted efforts afoot right now to actually start putting solutions at each of those pump stations with a view to alleviating the pressure on the central wastewater systems. So once again, there we're seeing some proactive evidence of progress being made. And I think on this World Water Day, we want to focus on the positive solutions, and I think we want to support government. So in this regard, I now pass my respects on to the Minister and to the department. Under new DG, I might also add, we haven't had a permanent DG now for a long period of time. So these are two very positive developments that I am very, very happy to report on today.
I can tell you're quite positive about the impact that Mr. Mchunu and his department have had, and that they're moving in the right direction. He also spoke in his speech about how COVID-19 has exposed the water infrastructure we have as being inadequate, and people on the ground every day are struggling and having issues with access to water. So, at what point are the people on the ground going to start to see tangible results in line with this positivity that you're seeing?
Yes, I make a choice. I'm a solution-oriented person, so I can speak at great length about all the things that have gone wrong in this water sector, and there are many. I mean, there are absolutely thousands of things that have gone wrong in the water sector. The reality is that the infrastructure across the entire value chain in the water sector is in an appalling state. Of the over 1,000 wastewater treatment works in the country, something like 60% of them are dysfunctional in some form or other. This is a catastrophic situation, and in fact, we have to raise about 1 trillion rand just to rebuild the broken infrastructure. Now, that is a very, very doomy and gloomy kind of story, that one, because that means we're not going to turn the ship around all that quickly. You must appreciate that the economy is in very dire straits because of COVID-19, but also other factors, and therefore the tax base to the fiscus is significantly reduced. So we don't have a viable opportunity of raising that 1 trillion rand. So therefore, this is going to have to become a form of public-private kind of endeavor, and this is underway. And this is actually the good news part of that story, that the crisis on the one hand, the systemic failure of the water sector, if want of a better word, is driving this cooperative behavior. And we're starting to see the green shoots of that cooperative behavior coming out. So, is the glass half full or half empty? I'm a half full kind of guy. So I try and lead people by giving them some inspiration as to how do we go about finding a better future for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I see that there are green shoots in that regard starting to manifest, and therefore that's what I choose to highlight.
Oh, Professor, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Professor Anthony Turton speaking or reacting to the remarks by Minister Senzo Mchunu marking World Water Day.